You see these blades? They have notched corners to make your cutting experience smoother. Ooh! The front edge notch helps with separating blades during manufacturing, while the trailing edge notch helps the blade glide easily. And a fun fact, that notch on the front also helps you spot unused sections of the blade. Just a little visual indicator to make your life easier. When it comes to silver versus black blades, they're both made from the same stuff. But black blades are sharper and are better suited for cutting through tough materials, while silver blades strike a balance between cutting power and durability. If you want that extra cutting oomph, go for black. Oh, almost forgot. The only thing those blades aren't meant to cut is food. It has a rust-proofing oil coating, which is not safe for humans. Check this one out. It's totally giving me childhood vibes. Now, I remember my grandma having tomato-shaped pincushions just like this, and sometimes they would look more like a salad, with a little pepper thrown in there. Well, believe it or not, this salad actually has a purpose. The tomato keeps your pins in place, while the pepper keeps them sharp. Those peppers are filled with sand, which helps keep your pins nice and sharp. And it's not just sand. Crushed walnuts can also be used to keep your pins in tip-top shape. Now look at this multiple pocket tool and this little hook on it. It's a bit of a mystery, but it's actually pretty handy. I counted at least 4 different applications. 1. You can use it to carry all sorts of awkward stuff, like camping gear or heavy parcels. 2. Need to twist some wire or play around with knots? The parcel hook has got you covered. 3. This hook can save the day with those stubborn zippers, like the ones on your luggage. 4. It's great for pretending to be a budget version of Captain Hook. If you know more applications, let me know in the comments. Apple users, with this feature, you'll never get laundry surprises again. Now, I bet you've had this situation at least once in your life. You wash your stuff, and when you take it out of the washing machine, the size seems to only fit your cat. Your iPhone camera can actually translate those funky laundry symbols for you. There are 2 requirements though. You must have iOS 17, and your phone must be in English. Take a photo of the care label, go to the Photos app, and see the details of the image. Everything will be automatically decoded and explained to you. Now, many toasters come with nifty removable crumb trays at the bottom. It's super important to give these trays a good clean every now and then to keep your toaster running smoothly and avoid any potential fire hazards. Just pop them out, shake out the crumbs, and you're good to go. Where you shake them out is up to you. Those little compartments on your gas pump aren't just for show. They're actually there to hold your cap while you're filling up. This nifty feature keeps things tidy and prevents any spills or drips on the handle. So, say goodbye to messy refueling experiences and hello to a cleaner pump. Plus, it makes the whole process way more convenient and efficient. Now, I'll bet your oven gets so greasy and dirty sometimes that you can even hear it oink. Just kidding. I know you're a tidy person. Anyway, if you're looking for a way to bring your kitchen cleaning to a whole new level, here's a tip for you. Most oven doors have handy latches that let you pop the door off for easy cleaning, saving your poor back from the strain. When you're draining noodles or potatoes, there's no need to bother transferring everything to a colander in the sink. Just throw the colander right into the pot, hold it down, and pour the liquid out. It makes life so much easier, especially when you want to save that starchy water for recipes. It's a must for authentic pasta, by the way. So let's say you've snagged this gem at a thrift store a while back for just under $1. It's seen better days, serving as an ashtray, but you decide it's time to give it a new lease on life. Here's the lowdown on how to make it shine again. Mix up a solution of boiling water, baking soda, and table salt in a bowl lined with aluminum foil. Let the piece soak for about 15 minutes, and repeat this process 3 times. In between soaks, gently scrub any rough spots with a microfiber cloth. After the final soak, dry the piece off and rub on some toothpaste, baking soda, and peroxide. Buff out any remaining tarnish with a clean, dry microfiber cloth. Rinse it off, and now your piece is practically gleaming like a mirror. These aluminum foil boxes have nifty little tabs on the sides that make it super easy to grab a sheet without any hassle. It's like a fancy little bonus that makes the product a breeze and ensures you'll have a smooth sailing experience every time. Manual can openers often come with a handy built-in feature, also known as a bottle opener. It's like getting two tools in one. But did you know that this bottle opener actually has another useful function? It can help you loosen those stubborn, hard-to-open jars. Simply lift the lid slightly at a couple of points with the bottle opener, and then watch it as it effortlessly twists right off. Yeah! Okay, I just found that, apparently, you're supposed to save the first and last slices of a loaf of sliced bread for last. It's like a bread hack or something. Apparently, those end pieces help keep the rest of the bread fresher for longer, and you shouldn't eat them until you've devoured the rest of the loaf. So, next time you're making a sandwich, save those heel slices for the very end. Even bread eating needs a good strategy. Now look at those blue levers on the top rack of your dishwasher. I was curious about them too, and it turns out they're actually water bottle sprayers. They help to ensure that your bottles get a thorough cleaning and rinse during the wash cycle. Many vegetable peelers have those little scoops on top for taking out the eyes from potatoes. And here's a cool tip. You can actually use vegetable peelers in both directions to peel faster. But most people just stick to one direction. When using yellow mustard, make sure to push the lid of the bottle all the way open until you hear a satisfying click. This way the lid will stay securely in place and won't get in the way when you're dispensing the mustard onto your food. It's a simple step that can make your condiment experience hassle-free and enjoyable. So there. You know that little hole at the end of your pot or pan? Well, it's not just for show. You can actually use it as a handy holder for your forks and spoons. Next time you're cooking up a storm in the kitchen, just pop your utensils in that convenient little hole and keep them close at hand. Okay, just a heads up to remember to switch the direction of your ceiling fan for the changing weather, and to give it a good clean too. I've seen that a lot of folks found it helpful before to reverse the fan's direction by flipping a switch for different seasons. So this is just a friendly reminder to go ahead and do it again, pushing hot air down and pulling cold air up. When you're chowing down for some pizza, just tear off the top of the box and use it as a big old plate. You can even rip the box in half and fold it to save some leftovers for later. Well, that's it for today. What, you want to know more cool facts? Sure, but you'll have to subscribe and hit the bell to get more videos. I'm waiting. Go ahead. You know what? Onions can help fight off the flu. And apparently they can do it in various ways. Like you can put them in your socks, which somehow transfer their disease-fighting abilities through your feet, or you can drink onion-infused water to treat or prevent illnesses like colds or the flu. Well, unfortunately, these are all false beliefs. When it comes to directly combating cold or flu viruses, onions are unlikely to have a super impact, but overall, they're good for you. At the same time, onions do have a high concentration of quercetin. It's a pigment known for its potential anti-inflammatory properties. The correct way to open a new deodorant is by manually prying the top off. Nope. Removing the cap from a new deodorant stick involves twisting it. This move triggers the mechanism to push the safety cap off. This method helps avoid the hassle of manually prying the lid off, leaving deodorant residue under your nails. Now, what about the ideal time for using deodorant? You might think it's in the morning before you leave the house, but the optimal time to use deodorant is in the evening. At this time, your body temperature is cooler and your underarms are less moist, providing a greater opportunity for the deodorant to work effectively on your skin. Applying deodorant in the morning is still okay for those people who don't suffer from excessive sweating. So, if you sweat a moderate amount, there's no reason to change your daily routine. Now, keeping your shower curtain inside or outside the tub is a choice. But apparently, putting the shower curtain inside the tub reduces splashing and prevents water from escaping. The decorative cloth curtain belongs on the outside, whereas the plastic one should be on the inside. I mean, the whole idea is to prevent splashing water. Now, watering your plants on scorching hot days harms them. Rain showers occur during the summer season all over the world, and plants easily survive in these conditions. At the same time, when you water your plants on hot days, a substantial amount of liquid might evaporate before it can effectively benefit the plants. It's worth noting that this might be different for some sensitive indoor plants, such as African violets. It can result in leaf damage if you pour very cold water directly onto their leaves. Now let's continue with another garden-related thing. Tree roots only reach as far as the outer edge of tree branches. Myth or fact? Well, it's a misconception. The root systems of many trees can extend well beyond the diameter of their crowns. For instance, magnolia trees can have roots that reach nearly 4 times their crown diameter, while the roots of red maple trees can exceed their crowns by up to 3 times. It's easier to shuck corn before it's boiled. Well, in the past, before the invention of modern cooking methods, many recipes involved pre-shucked corn. However, you can still grill it with or without the husk when it comes to recipes like grilled corn. A recommended technique is to partially shuck the corn, leaving only a few layers closest to the cob still attached. This method retains moisture while also providing appealing char marks on certain kernels. Alternatively, you can cook whole, unshucked ears of corn in the microwave or by boiling it, if you prefer. Moving on with everyday items you've been storing wrong. Take eggs, for example. Leaving them in the fridge door is good for them, right? No, this can lead to a roller coaster of temperatures every time you grab a snack. As for nuts, they're happier in the fridge. Heat can make them go all wonky, especially if they're the kind with lots of good fats. So, keeping them chilled helps them stay fresher and tastier. There's another common myth about nuts. It's said that roasting them decreases calories, proteins, carbs, and fibers they contain. But no, both cooked and uncooked nuts have similar amounts of those. The main goal of roasting nuts is to enhance their flavor and crunchiness. Keep this in mind though. When nuts are roasted, the healthy fats they contain may get damaged, and in the end, this can result in a reduced nutrient content. Now let's talk about avocados. Don't toss them in the fridge if you want them to ripen on schedule. They like hanging out at room temperature. We can also put an end to another avocado-related myth. Avocados are fattening. Yeah, they do have a high fat content compared with most other fruits. But this doesn't necessarily make them bad for your health. In fact, avocados contain what's often called healthy fats, which can help reduce harmful cholesterol levels in your body. Now let's carry on with diet and food. Swapping white table sugar for unrefined options like honey, maple syrup, and coconut sugar is supposed to make your diet healthier. Well, don't fall for this myth. Sugar is sugar, no matter whether it's refined or unrefined. While unrefined sugars may contain a few extra vitamins and minerals, the advantage is minimal because they're still considered added sugars. These added sugars can add up and contribute to your diet's recommended limit on daily sugar intake. Full-fat products aren't a one-way ticket to weight gain. That's a myth from the 80s and 90s. Some people are still scared of fat, but it shouldn't be the case. Fat plays a few essential roles, such as protecting our organs, maintaining cell membranes, supporting health and development, and helping absorb vital vitamins. The key is to choose heart-healthy unsaturated fats like olive oil, canola oil, nuts, nut butter, and avocados over saturated and trans fats found in fatty meats and high-fat dairy products. There's a common belief that avoiding carbs entirely will make you lose weight. Well, that's a myth too. Low-carb diets have made their rounds, vilifying carbs, including fruits and whole grains. While some people have had success with these diets, it's usually because they've cut out highly processed carb-laden foods like chips, cookies, and white bread. You know, all the stuff we like. Eliminating an entire food group isn't the best approach, as you might miss out on essential nutrients. Another belief is that you can get rid of body toxins with a detox diet. Well, sorry, most detox diets don't live up to their promises. Your body is already good at detoxing itself with the help of your liver, kidneys, and gastrointestinal tract. You don't need to buy any special products. If you want to rejuvenate your body, focus on eating more whole foods, staying hydrated, and cutting out highly processed junk food. Okay, I have 3 life hacks for you. These aren't myths. Firstly, you can stop a pot from boiling over by putting a wooden spoon over its top. Secondly, if you position a cheese grater vertically, there's a better way to use it. Lay it down horizontally. This way the process will be less taxing for your arms. My next tip is about your yoga mat. Leaving it in a hot, humid spot like your car can ruin it. Keep it cool and dry for maximum yoga zen. Now, many people know they should keep their fancy fragrance bottles away from direct sunlight. So, some people store them in the refrigerator. This isn't the right move, unless you want your perfume to lose its overall depth. I mean, yes, fragrances don't like heat or humidity, but the interior of a refrigerator is too dry and cold for them. So it has the opposite effect and breaks down the scent molecules. And please, resist the urge to rub a bit of perfume on your wrist. It may be tempting, but rubbing your fragrances is a big no-no. This practice not only muddles and weakens the scent, it also causes the top notes to evaporate quickly. They say that if you have old photos in your house, the right way to stash them is by putting them in cardboard boxes. Well, this is a misconception. These types of boxes can damage your memories. Go for acid-free archival boxes if you want your pictures to look as good as new. The next one is more of a hack than a myth. It turns out dishwashers are more user-friendly than we give them credit for. When you're loading or unloading the dishwasher, you can save your poor back from unnecessary strain by pulling out the basket. You might think that foundations are safe at room temperature, but if you store your foundation in a makeup bag, heat can mess with the oils in your makeup. So pop this product in a cool drawer. Eye creams and serums can benefit from the chill too. Organic or homemade cosmetics without preservatives should also be refrigerated, but always check expiration dates. I know I do.
There are some inventions that make us say, "Dude, why didn't I come up with this?" And then you have the next question. Why don't we have it in my hometown yet? I'm talking about things like splash-proof toilets, liquid trees, and skyscrapers with slides. Yep, they're all pretty real, and you're about to fall in love with them. Have you ever used a public bathroom in the summer in your shorts and sandals and got splashed? It happens to the best of us, so no worries. If only there was some solution to this problem. Perhaps a urinal with a small hole so no liquid goes where it shouldn't. Looks pretty yucky and painful to me. An assistant professor at the University of Waterloo, Zhao Pen, and his colleagues came up with a way better solution for this sensitive issue. Their designs were inspired by physics and dogs. When a stream of liquid moves on a solid surface at a shallow angle, the splash is reduced, and the smaller the angle, the fewer splashes you'll see. You can even minimize them to a 0. And when dogs do their business, they lift their hind legs and do it on the vertical surface of a tree or a wall. I don't know if they actually care about it, but this does reduce the splash. Good job, Pluto! The team invented several models and presented them at the American Physical Society conference, and it was a hit. The inventors say that all of the models are no splash, but their favorites are the slice of apple and the one that looks like a tall and slender J with a narrow and long opening. The new urinals aren't just super cool, but also more sustainable. You won't have to wash the floor with water, chemicals, and human energy after every use, which is a win-win. Here's another innovative public toilet idea for you, this time from Japan. They have completely transparent walls, which means, yes, you can see everything that's going on inside, from the toilet itself to the hand wash sink. It sounds pretty creepy, but the idea was actually to create a safe restroom in the park. Visitors can see if there's someone hiding inside before entering, and also check if the toilet is clean before entering. When you go inside and lock the door, the walls change color to opaque, and no one will be able to see you. They used glass covered with PDLC film to make the walls, which allowed them to go from being transparent to safely intense using electricity. Alright, now you've nearly convinced me to try one of those magical toilets. Oh, and they also double as excellent lanterns in the dark, shining bright in different colors. Bring a couple to my local park. I don't mind. Take a deep breath. If you don't like what you're breathing in, do something about it. That must have been exactly what the smart guys at the University of Belgrade, Serbia thought and invented the liquid tree. The liquid 3, not the pun and laugh a bit, consists of a glass tank filled with over 150 gallons of water, some microalgae, and a solar panel which provides electricity to a small pump. The microalgae need heating, so just in case there's no sun and the temperatures drop, the photobioreactor is also connected to the city grid. Microalgae work hard to do some photosynthesis magic and convert water and CO2 into oxygen, and then it goes into the atmosphere. The liquid tree also comes with a bench to sit on and enjoy its work. The liquid 3 needs more work than a regular tree in the park. They need to replace the water and microalgae almost completely every month and a half. And they also need to take out the biomass that is the byproduct of the process, and let's admit, nothing can replace those blooming babes in spring. If you ever find yourself casually wandering in the forests of Estonia, don't freak out if you see some giant megaphones. These wooden acoustic giants were set 3 hours away from the country's capital by interior architecture students. That's way cooler than the hamster roller coaster I once built for a science fair, I have to admit. More than half of Estonia is covered by woods, and they're pretty proud of this natural wealth. So it's not the first art project of this kind, and there was a winding, elevated pathway and a faceted woodland cabin. The idea of the megaphones is to crank up the natural sounds of a forest and also to serve as a rest spot for hikers. These wooden beauties are large enough to host several people. And hey, if you walk this far into the woodland, you'll be thankful for this. The students were given a task to invent some concepts of a forest library. They built the megaphones off-site and brought them to their permanent spots. They're set in such a way that sounds from 3 directions meet in the center and create a cool, natural surround sound effect. Have you ever helped your friends move into a new apartment in a building without an elevator? Then you're gonna love this one. Houses in Amsterdam have hooks on top. This is a medieval invention for pulling stuff up the houses. The simple tech consisting of a wheel and a rope still functions now, centuries later. Why not just use the stairs? Well, if you get inside one of those narrow Amsterdam buildings, you'll see there's hardly enough room to comfortably ascend, and you can forget about even trying to pull a table on top. Back in the medieval ages, pretty much like now, only rich people could afford housing around the canals in the best parts of the city. Those people were mostly traders and used the canals for their business. They stored goods in the same houses they lived in, and with regular floods, they had to find a way to keep the goods dry. And that's why they needed to invent something to lift furniture, goods, boxes, instruments, and food on the upper floors, and pull it in through fully open, wide windows. The lifting tech is one of the reasons the houses in Amsterdam are leaning forward. This position helped keep both the lifted stuff and the walls and windows safe during transportation. They didn't have to touch each other. The gables also assisted in the process and had to be made firm to withstand all the heavy weight. And in case you're wondering what gables are, they're sections of wall between the edges of a dual-pitched roof, typical for Amsterdam. Folks who live or work in skyscrapers have the opposite problem. Getting out of the building can take a while as you wait in line for the elevator. A slide going from the top of a skyscraper could be a solution. In 2016, they added one outside of the US Bank Tower in Los Angeles at the height of 1,000 feet. The see-through slide, made of glass just 1 inch thick, was built to withstand hurricane-force winds and earthquakes. It was built to bring tourists to the building, though not for the convenience of office workers. And then they decided it wasn't such a great idea, so the slide was removed as part of the reconstruction of the building. A Hong Kong photographer and editor who became famous online went even wilder with his imagination and designed a double-decker bus with a slide. It's not his only futuristic photography masterpiece, as he likes to play with perspective and proportions. I can totally see myself sliding away when someone asks me to pay for the ride.
In some ways, the United States is a whole different world, totally different from every other place. So let's take a look at what's normal there that baffles people from the outside. One of the first things a foreigner notices when entering the country is flags. American flags everywhere. On buildings like schools and houses, and on clothes like shorts, t-shirts, you name it. Throughout history, Americans have changed 27 flags. The current American flag was only adopted in 1960 and is so far the longest-lasting flag of the country. It wasn't created by the authorities, though. In 1958, there was a contest for a design of the new American flag, and the winning flag was made by a 17-year-old high school student from Ohio. The reason why Americans love their flag so much is national pride. But why not so many countries do the same? Well, some countries avoid displaying them for historical reasons. Other countries only raise the flag on special occasions to highlight the importance of the event. Still, some countries display their flag as often as Americans do. In Denmark, people are quite proud of their flag too. They decorate the winter holiday tree and birthday cakes with them, and you can always find stickers with Danish flags, red and white candles, and other goodies with the flag in a grocery store. People in Sweden are also very much into their flag and have flagpoles everywhere. Now, let's go to a restaurant, shall we? Many things there are very specific to the States. Like, for example, tons of ice in every drink. Turns out there is some history to this preference. America has always had a lot of ice as a resource, since New England's lakes and rivers have a lot of those during winter. Centuries ago, before refrigerators and other helpful cooling machines, that kind of cold resource was very valuable, and the States started exporting ice to other parts of the world. And also, of course, consuming it themselves. They started to put ice in their hot drinks, in contrast to the British, who were always drinking their beverages hot. The ice in the drinks has become an American thing, and it was also considered a rich person's drink. Yep, the ice would also show a person's status. Of course, with time, when refrigerators appeared, ice became available to everyone, and Americans started to add it to their drinks commonly. The habit remained, but also, ice drinks are very refreshing, which is especially important in the hot south of the country. But if you come from abroad and don't want your drink freezing cold, always specify it to the waiter. The next striking thing is the huge portions that are served, and there is a reason for that too. It wasn't always like this, but in the second half of the last century, due to pesticides and fertilizers, farmers started to be able to grow more food than they used to. The government caught on, subsidizing them to grow even more food. So, the amount of available food increased. Over time, companies started to increase the sizes of their portions. Why serve less food and get less money if you can serve a bit more and also charge more? That's good for business, and it's a win-win. Customers get more food for just a little bit more money. So, larger portions stuck. Okay, now we need to take a little toilet break. And, surprisingly, there are a lot of foreigners who find American toilets weird. First, what's up with those huge gaps in bathroom stalls? Let's start with the more obvious part, gaps on the bottom of the doors. Those are quite common, even outside the US, and they serve several purposes. First, you can see if there's a person inside without trying to break into an occupied stall. Second, it provides some ventilation and makes it easier to clean the floor in the bathrooms. The gaps on the sides are more questionable. Of course, people on the outside can't see everything going on behind the door, but still, there's not much privacy whatsoever. In most other countries, the gaps are either negligible or non-existent. So what's up with them in America? I did some research. Some sources say that since every inch of material is expensive, wide gaps are made to reduce the costs of bathroom stalls. Other sources say that when people feel exposed like this, they have fewer incentives to do something illegal in public bathrooms. Next observation, American toilets have way more water in their bowls in comparison to, for example, European ones. The reason is that those types of toilets use different flashing systems, and an American one needs more water to flush effectively. In many countries, especially in Asia, most bathrooms have bidets, which are used for after-toilet cleaning, and tourists don't understand why Americans wouldn't adopt those too. After all, if you step in mud, you'll go and wash your foot instead of just wiping it off with a tissue. The same logic works here. Also, it reduces toilet paper usage. So it's more sustainable and it's environmentally friendly. Some say there's a strong stigma in America around bidets that is extremely hard to overcome. Others say that toilets in the US don't have enough room to install a bidet, so they don't have those, especially if there are other well-known ways. Before we leave the restaurant, we need to tip the waiter. Tipping in the United States is way more common than in most other countries. You're expected to tip any service person who helped you with something. While some kind of tipping exists in some other countries, the extent of it is smaller. And there are also countries like Japan and Denmark where tipping isn't a thing at all. Those countries have minimum wage laws that dictate decent wages employers must pay their workers. This way, the need to pay money to service stuff isn't pushed onto the customers. By the way, here's one more fact about the prices. Probably the craziest thing in the States tourists have to adapt to are prices in stores. The tax isn't included into the displayed price and is added on top while checking out. So people who are short on money can't pre-calculate the price they will have to pay to make sure that they have enough money. But really, why is it so? The main reason behind such a weird policy is transparency. This way, taxpayers know how much tax they pay and can resist raising the tax rate in case it comes on the national agenda. Also, it allows buyers to compare the costs of products across states fairly, since tax rates may differ. So, if the tax isn't included, you compare the actual bread costs between Alabama and Alaska, for example. In some places in America, it's not very easy to get around unless you travel by car. In some regions, there's often no sidewalk taking you to the closest convenience store, or a crosswalk, allowing you to cross the road right in front of the store. The main reason for that is probably the fact that the United States is a big country with vast lands and everything is spread out. Neighborhoods can be scattered around, wide suburban territories quite far away from one another, so that's already far from being walking distance, and sidewalks aren't needed because, yes, no one's walking. Studies show that Spanish or Germans walk at least twice as much as Americans, but in those countries, everything is way closer. And last and not least, you guessed it, the Imperial system. It's based on the human body. A foot is an average foot size of a person, so you might think it's quite intuitive for anyone. Well, no. Foreigners are incredibly confused with feet, inches, gallons, and Fahrenheits, and tend to convert it all to the familiar metric system. Well, in this sense, the British are even more confusing. Those guys use both imperial and metric systems. For height, it's mostly feet and inches, but for weight, kilograms. Great Britain used to have the imperial system, but later they were forced to switch to the metric system. So now, they're using a combination. Whatever helps to be more precise.